Hello, today I'll be talking about Ravenswatch, Geppetto Guide. In general, Ravenswatch is a roguelike game. I'll just go over it quickly. This game you would play with your friends by yourself for an hour. It's a perfectly fine solo game, but also perfectly fine squad game. You can squad up to 4 people, and I'm pretty sure it gets harder as you squad up with more people. In general, the game has 3 different maps, and you would spend around 16 minutes on every map. And then after 16 minutes, after you get your items, after you get your gold, after you buy your upgrades, you would face a boss. And after you kill the boss, you go on to the next map. And as I said, there's 3 maps in total. I would like to take a look at Geppetto. In general, whenever you start, you only have the first 4 characters, I think, or 3 characters, and then as you play them, you unlock the other characters. And you can play different difficulties, starting from Adventure, Twilight, Darkness, and Nightmare. And I've completed this game on a lot of characters in Nightmare, which is the hardest difficulty, which I wouldn't really advise for the fun, because it's a very tough challenge. You would only want to do this if you're kind of tryharding. The best difficulty, in my opinion, is Darkness, because it's still fun but also challenging, and I've completed it on all the characters, as you can see. But if you go on to the heroes' abilities, Geppetto is quite a fun character. At start, I didn't like him as much because he is a puppet master, and you can't really do anything without your puppets. You need to create them, you need to create dummies, and they will do most of the damage, and your damage carries on to them. Your vitality does not, though. There is a few abilities in here that will help you with that, but in general your abilities do not. So the trait, which is your Q, as a default has a 4-second cooldown, and you build a dummy that does around 40 damage, and you can at the start only create 3 dummies. They can be dismantled, but this doesn't really do much. If you go too far from them, like off screen, they will all be automatically dismantled. His basic attack is hammer. It just does a little bit of damage, heals your dummies, and this actually has very good synergies. I think Geppetto is one of the most fun character in the sense of synergies. Next, you have an uppercut, which is something you would most of the time just hit your dummy with to send it into the battle. So you create a dummy and you would hit it. Then there is E, which is an explosion, Cogsplosion, which is a bomb that heals your dummies, but also it has synergies with one of the starting talents that I love, which creates a dummy. And your shift, or your defense, actually applies 20 shield to you and all dummies for 6 seconds, and also gives you a bit of intangible at the start of it. Intangible means that you cannot be hit. This has a 12-second cooldown, and it is quite important that this intangible works on most abilities but not all of them, because if you're hit with abilities that have flashing screen on the ground, those abilities cannot be iframed or intangible. They will still hit you and they will kill you. His 2 ults are Mecha Puppy, which is my favorite one, and there's Overclock, which makes all dummies spin around doing damage, but also getting more damage. I think receiving more damage. Mecha Puppet just creates a big puppet that does some damage, follows Geppetto, lasts up to 40 seconds, if you travel somewhere, which is not the greatest, so if you know you will have to teleport by something, don't probably use this, but if you teleport, this ability just goes on cooldown, and there is no cooldown reduction like some other characters do have. His starting talents are quite nice, but I think the best one is Dummy Ball, which has a 100% chance to create a dummy and deal some explosion. So yeah, technically speaking, this is better because this creates a dummy from your special, which you can easily get from a purple upgrades to have more than one special, meaning that you can create 3 or 4 dummies way faster than having to rely on your twin dummy and your trait to create 2 at a time and then create 2 more. There is also twin dummies, which I thought was pretty good, but this only has 55% chance. On golden, it has 100% chance to build 2 dummies instead of 1. This is alright. This makes them a bit more powerful, and this is okay, but I don't enjoy it. I don't think it's synergized with its abilities. The first ability I really don't like. It it only does a bit more damage. You will not be hitting your enemies with it, so this does not matter to you. All that mechanism is actually pretty good because whenever you hit your dummies, they will attack right on their place right away. So this is very good for boss killing. Whenever, or some enemies, whenever they're downed, you can really boil on them and kill them fast. Hard ties is alright. The armor is pretty okay, but most of the time your dummies will be in the battle, so you will not be affected. And the 40% vitality can help on the highest difficulty, but is also not the greatest. So if you can, don't take this ability. Forked lightning is okay, but there is some other defense synergies that are better. I like this. Large family increases your dummy by 1 and also reduces your trait cooldown. Morning Rage is pretty good. I usually take this. This gives you strength after your dummy is destroyed, and usually most of the time your dummies will be destroyed pretty fast. Trait emits a damage that is alright, not the best. I used to take it, not lately. This is also okay, but I don't think it works if you synergize it together with your attack. So this will just be dummies attacking by themselves. This is good. Flux capacitor. This makes your dummies deal more damage whenever you have shield, and most of the time you will have shield. Fireworks is also right. Whenever you heal your dummies, they will have a rocket basically coming out of them. Clockwork is alright. I've tried this. Not the best ability. Try to avoid. Laser senses is pretty good. I love this ability. This makes them shoot lasers, and it's very powerful, especially at level 1. Family meeting is also alright. Whenever you have 3 or more, you're faster, so this also synergizes quite well with old mechanisms and fireworks. A vacuum is okay. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I've tried it a few times. It's okay. Magnetic hammer is also okay. Can be used if you're stuck between like vacuum capsule, magnetic hammer in your ability selection screen, like hard ties or something. You may take one of these. I don't enjoy hard ties as much. Sharp noses is also okay. This is one of the better ones, Flash of Genius, but you also have to get lucky because it's random. You get 2 choices. And Lightning Rod Dummies is also pretty good. I like it. It synergizes with your defense. So most of his abilities synergize pretty well. And for upgrade for the ult, the one I always go for is Bomb Reserve. This actually makes your ult not just tank damage for you, but actually do a lot of damage, because most of the time your ult, you just create it for it to tank damage. High voltage is okay. As I said, I don't play the second ult as much. This I've tried a few times with Master Puppet. It's okay, it just makes your big dummy more powerful, but I feel like having more dummies and then synergizing them with old mechanisms or fireworks is just better. And Hypercloak is an okay ability as well. So to go over, last but not least, his pros and cons, I would say his pros is that he is a very safe character, meaning that you don't really go into fight as much. Most of the time it's just your dummies that fight, so you are in a safe distance. For another con, which is quite important, is that he has a shield. So you can kind of negate most of the damage, which is pretty good, I would say. The healing would be best, but that is technically one of his cons. So next up is he has actually pretty good damage because he can create 3 of these dummies. At level 1, like most of the characters, he is a bit weak because most of your abilities are not really online, and it's a bit harder to deal with enemies, but still level 1 usually ends pretty fast. As well as synergies. I think he is one of those characters that has a very good synergies with abilities. Almost all of his abilities are pretty good, and you can synergize them all together. There is almost no need to reroll unless you get a very bad roll like regeneration or something along those lines. At level 1, of course, some abilities are better than the others, like some abilities that just make your dummies do more damage than others, but even then it's fine to take them, because at the end of the day you'll still get the good abilities, like some abilities that actively increase your damage, like whenever you hit that they hit, or whenever you hit that they heal and have fireworks or something to do with your shield, is of course better than some other abilities, but still I would say almost all abilities are still good at level 1. Next up, The dummies can tank, which kind of plays back into the safety of this character, but most of the time you can just send out your dummies and it will be completely fine. Um, the cons is no built-in healing, meaning that if you get damaged, it's a bit harder to actually heal up. But of course, you can always get the legendary um, ability that heals you on the defense, which is good. In general, for legendaries, you almost always want to have something like Tomatabako, which gives you more rerolls, more in general ability to select stuff, and of course, you would want Excalibur. That definitely increases your damage a lot. Um, but yeah, the healing is not a bad choice. For cons is last but not least is that he does not have vulnerability, which can be a bit of a bummer sometimes, but most of the time the sheer damage just kind of makes sure that you don't really need vulnerability as much. But yeah, like I think the game is balanced pretty well, where some characters lack one or two things. Of course, there are some characters that I personally don't really like as much that feel like they're not as safe and they lack a few things like safety. But yeah, in general, I do think it's fine. The usual build that I go with almost every character at this point is I would just go something like Leprechaun coins and Golden Eggs. Try to get like 5 leprechaun coins, reroll for them if needed, and then I get golden eggs, around 3 of them, or sorry, 4 of them to get the bonus for money, and then as much golden eggs as you can, because they are, in my opinion, the best item in the game. They give you the most damage for their buck. And as I said, Excalibur is also very important. The way to start off the fight is there's two ways. Technically, you can put your Q, then send out your dummy, and then heal it with your E, but that's not always an option. So sometimes you will just start off by putting your E and then putting your dummy and sending it right there. And then maybe there's pros and cons to both the approaches. Sometimes you just want to put your Q in, send it there, and then once you get damage, you kind of heal it back up, but that's not always possible because some monsters attack a bit slower than others, so sometimes they would not even hit it, and then both of your dummies get hit for free, basically. But of course, sometimes you may just want to send your E to have it on a bit faster cooldown, I guess. It's 1 second, but it still makes a difference because you only get 16 minutes to actually finish. And then of course after you send your E, you can just send your dummy. And then you'll get to do defense and heal it sooner rather than later. The dummies do have their own cons, is that it does make the game a bit different. For example, sometimes the dummy will get caught by a spider root or a damaging ability that would hit you, but also sometimes it changes the way you have to play, because for example the bigger trees, they would hit you 3 times, or not the bigger trees but the medium trees, they would hit you 3 times if they hit you once, and if you just dodge the first attack they will not hit you again. But in case of dummies, since they hit the dummies, you may think that they did not hit you, so you're safe to stand in front of it, but they will actually continue hitting you. In most cases, there's still a very good way to kind of make sure that the enemy is attacking them and not you, while you can create more dummies, and then they'll eventually do different types of damages, like with your defense, or you can hit them and they'll do more damage. Like these trees are the one that I mean. As you can see, 1, 2, 3. It hits the dummy 3 times, but this one, it missed because my dummy died, so it did not continue its chain. And again, for example, they're hitting it for 3 times. But as I said, they can be rooted in your place. They can take a lot of different attack in your place as well. So it is very much, I still think it's very much a good thing. But yeah, it can be a detriment to you. With this character, or in general with most of the characters, I would still try to do all of the quests because I think The orange abilities that you get from the quest are generally better than the red ones, except like the money for the red and stuff like that. But you can also get lucky with the money from the red with your um, augment that or ability that gives you different items randomly. Here I'll try to get pulled, use my defense, and as you can see the intangible or invulnerable actually did save me, but it doesn't work for every ability. Just the game devs designed it this way, which is understandable. I really like this game. It is a bit of a bummer that the updates are a bit slower, but I can understand because the devs are most probably working on a smaller team and it's not that easy to make such a nice game. But also Elden Ring Night Train is going to be a similar game, so in the future I think this game genre will be very popular. As you can see, this time around we got Flash of Genius, which is one of my favorite talents because it involves gambling and I'm a crippling gambling addict. So we'll get that, and then we get completely random. You can get red, you can get gold, you can get blue, you can get purple, you can get common stuff here, so it's completely random. So I'll reroll a few times to just give you the ability to see how random it can get. And of course the best item, or not the best, but I think second best after the nerf is Leprechaun Coin. For this ability my intangible works. Also a good way you can kind of get rid of those pesky attacks is just you stand behind your dummy and then you just attack it, healing it, so it absorbs the damage for you in a way while it does not die. Well, it didn't really do that there, but you get the point.